Welcome everybody to the Guitar Masterclass. We've done one of these in Mexico, one of these in the UK. Today we're here to show you how you can get some great sounding recordings from home using some very minimal equipment, using a Scarlet interface, which, you know, just to get started, these Scarlets are great. Anyways, it's my pleasure to introduce you to, all right, I'm going to read from the sheet now, a very successful producer, engineer, multi-instrumentalist, and you know, obviously a musician, and this is Walter Ino.
Friend, I'm your friend, man. Hey, thanks.
The what? What did I miss?
Friend. We're friends now.
Oh, thanks, man. That's awesome.
Appreciate it.
All right, this is Walter.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me here, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm just gonna play some stuff. So right now, I'm going right into the Scarlet, into a session I already had pulled up. This is a song. You're not going to hear any vocals in this one. I play in a Rush tribute sometimes, and we decided we're going to write a song in the style of Rush. But you're not going to hear the vocals, and in about a month or two, you'll probably start hearing it because we're going to release it. But we haven't. It features Brian Tisci on drums, Francesco De Cosmo on bass and vocals, but you're not going to hear vocals. Jonathan Sindelman on keyboards, and these are all seasoned players that tour all over the world, and myself. So I actually wrote the riff, and it might sound repetitive because there's no vocals, but here's how it goes. Let's make sure that I forget if it's balanced. Yeah, that's up there.
There it is.
Let's see how that is again. All right, bass is working. Here we go. That's that.
Wow. Oh, that was incredible, Walter. Man.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
That was me trying to sound like Alex Lifeson, which was one of my guitar heroes growing up. So
Right? Yeah, he's amazing.
It's a little bit thin sounding to me because I didn't really get to program the Kemper sound too much. But
Yeah.
anyway.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
Let's talk about your signal chain a little bit here. Is that all right?
Sure.
What do we got going on here?
Right now, I'm just going through a Kemper,
Okay.
which is right here. You guys
Yep.
can see the back of it. And I just have a few presets that I have.
Sure.
And a little bit more process sounding than I usually do stuff with. I usually, if I go through a mic or an amp, I'll just kind of get a nice tone first,
Yeah.
and then just go dry mostly. But this is my PRS into the Kemper, taking the stereo out, going right into the Scarlet left and right inputs, and that's what you're hearing.
All right.
So that's that, and not too much, little delay, little reverb, and I think it's one of their Marshall presets. That's about it.
One of the cool things that I saw during this track was one of the things that reminded me of something I like about the 2i2 and the Focusrite Scarlets is the gain halos. Did you guys get a shot of that? That was really cool. They glow green. You want to just play a little something. You see the green? You see? Yeah,
that's
just
cool.
did you guys see on the screen there how they glow green?
Pretty neat.
That means you're not clipping, so you don't even have to look at your DAW to know that you're not clipping, and
Yeah.
you're getting a hot enough signal, and yeah, that's pretty cool. And you're going into a Scarlet interface, and that's going to the front of house, so it's a pretty simple setup you got going.
Yes,
there.
well, the Scarlet, I live and die by it on the road.
Yeah.
Because not only do I play guitar, I play keyboards for a lot of other bands, and
Yeah.
just mostly my keyboard rig is running main stage with my MacBook, and I just run it out of there through the Focusrite, and it goes to front of house, and it's, I've played many arenas using just the Scarlet. And what's great about it is whenever I'm done off stage, for instance, I just got back. I guess I'm telling a story about the Scarlet right now.
Yeah, tell it.
But I just got back from doing a tour with a Cirque orchestra thing that I do. It does arenas all over the country, and so I use it for my keyboard rig, and I'm playing live keyboards with a 44-piece orchestra all over the country, and every city we go, we use their orchestra, which is pretty cool. But anyway, so I designed a lot of the sounds, and I orchestrate a lot of the stuff for the symphony. But then I get to play along with them, and then what's great, I just send a stereo out, and I have a zillion sounds that I use. And then at the end of the day, I put everything back in my little bag, and then I get on the bus, and we truck to another city. But one cool incident was we were going to be featured on Fox and Friends, which whatever, we're not going to get political. But when we were passing through New York City, they wanted us to do a live broadcast of stuff on, but they wanted to use tracks. Mm-hmm. So our princess singer, she played a princess on stage.
Right.
We were on the bus literally a couple days before that incident, that appearance on that morning show, and I had I think a 58 or some kind of microphone with me at the time, and I overdubbed her vocals so that she could pretend to sing, but she doesn't want anyone to know. But she had to lip sync basically for the broadcast, and we did everything right in the Scarlet.
Yeah.
And,
oh wow. On the bus.
On the bus. Right.
Wow.
I didn't even plug it in through power. We just did it right away, and they wanted to have it so that the studio could have it before they even got there. So it worked out really great because we got a great vocal sound with just that, and I mixed it right then and there, and sent it off, and it was really cool. And actually, the front of house guy also had a Scarlet, and he sent me. What we did was we recorded the symphony, and he did a little mix. So I was able to mix the strings and the horns separately, and then we took out the vocals, and then so she just sang it over again, and it was just one of those things. It was really, really quick and fun and to do, and to hear the final product over TV was pretty badass.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible that, like a pretty inexpensive piece of tech
Very inexpensive.
was that instrumental in a Cirque show, and I didn't get to see the Cirque show, but I did get to see the preview of it, and it was pretty incredible. I saw some video, and it was a pretty incredible show.
It's fun.
Yeah, and currently were you just on tour with Eagles of Death Metal? Or you did a couple shows?
We did a few shows. We're doing mostly one-offs right now, and then we leave in June for all the festivals in Europe. So
yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. Actually.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
I'm a bit jealous.
Looking forward to it.
Nice. So we talked about kind of what you have going on now. What do you remember your early on recording history? What got you started recording, and why did you start recording?
Well, I started playing instruments when I was a young kid. Piano was my first instrument when I was 6. Oh, wow. Because I had 2 older brothers that were into music, and they were taking piano lessons, and then I decided I wanted to be like them at 6. Started playing piano. I started getting better than them. They quit, so that type of thing. And then when I was 14, I got my first guitar, and that's when I really fell in love with music, and started writing songs. And all I had in my parents' basement, I don't know if you know any Asians out there, every Asian household back in the day has one of those karaoke machines. So there's 2 tape decks on the karaoke machine, and it has a glorious built-in delay that you can't even touch. It's amazing. And so cassette players, and I would record one thing, like strum an acoustic guitar, right. And then I'd put the other tape on the other side, and then play that back and record it over that, and learn how to overdub myself. Wow. And then you keep on doing that 8-10 times, and the sound quality starts going to crap. But that's how I learned what it was for overdubbing, because I read that Beatles did that with 4 tracks. Then from there was a music store that I would go to back in Pittsburgh. And I got the Porta Studios, those either Fostex or Tascam.
Yeah, Tascam had that.
I would rent
all in one box.
Yes, I would rent a 4-track recorder, and then that's when I learned even more about overdubbing, and then sending aux like effects and stuff like that. You could do that with. And then from there, so I wrote a whole bunch of songs. I demoed like my first high school bands using those 4 tracks. You kids are lucky these days to have something so easy. Yeah. And then after that, I bought one of those. I stepped it up and got one of those. A few bands would do stuff with ADATs and this and that, but then I stepped it up and bought one of those Roland VS 1680s, which I still love.
Yeah.
Actually, my friend still has it in Pittsburgh. He never paid me for it, so I need to get that back. Because there was something magical about those preamps in those things. There was a clarity of the preamps that they built with those. So I learned a lot about digital recording and how not to digital clip, and what sounds like crap. And then also, you could also do this little editing thing on there. So I learned how to cut and paste a lot on that thing. So it was that was my first really big purchase when it comes to recording, was the 1680. And then from there, I got in a motorcycle accident and made some money, and I bought a Pro Tools rig. So that's
how we all do it. We stumble into some money and we buy some gear, right?
Well, yeah, that wasn't the best. It wasn't the best way to make money, first of all.
No, you made the best out of a pretty bad situation. It sounds like, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So it seems like recording yourself really got your career started. You knew your path, and immediately you were involved in the tech side of things. So you were very technical savvy from a young age. It sounds like you were a great musician, and you were learning to be a musician. But then you also learned to record yourself and overdub yourself, and it sounds like you really took advantage of the technology.
I tried. Basically, I wanted to remember songs that I wrote, and then for me, never going to school, it's all trial and error. So you figure out where I started off with a SM58, and then I started making pop filters out of pantyhose and hangers and stuff like that. So you just learn by trial and error, and then how far away you stand from a mic, sing from a mic. And,
Yeah.
And so, and then when you play on stage, you learn the same thing when you're on stage, like what not to do and how to listen and all that stuff. So, I try my best. I'm still, to me, in my opinion, I'm not great with computers. I suck at computers. But luckily, once I learn a program, I do my best and, learn the programs as best I can.
Nice. You started off with different pieces of technology. How do you keep yourself current with the current technology? What makes you invest your time and your mind space into a new piece of technology?
Well, luckily, YouTube.
Yeah, we're all lucky to have YouTube now, aren't we?
I wish I had YouTube when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because luckily, you can go on YouTube and you could research like all this new. Like I am a gear nerd, so I am always reading magazines and checking out websites to see what's coming out and what's new. And luckily, you can go online and see somebody demo this stuff, and that's how I keep current because. It wasn't until I moved to California in 2011 that's when I first played my first show using just a laptop and an interface. Because growing up playing keyboards, I would buy a keyboard just for the sound. Mm-hmm. And then I would program that keyboard. And then I'd buy another keyboard just because they had a better sound or a better piano sound. So I end up with like 10 keyboards. And then whenever I knew I was going to be flying to Germany or whatever to play with some bands, I know I didn't want to carry all that stuff, so I wanted to carry a laptop and a controller and an interface, and it was so much easier. And when you send the same, a stereo signal out, it's so much easier for sound guys to just mix from that too.
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to stay current, or at least use some of the modern technology to play these shows, and so that I don't have to pay for shipping, and I don't have to carry.
Just throw it in your backpack.
Yeah,
right?
throwing my back out all the time.
What does your stage setup look like? I know you play in several different bands. I think you're busy every night of the week. I'm not sure really when you have time for family or sleep or anything like that because you're so busy gigging. Like, I appreciate you giving your time tonight to be here with us. But what is your stage setup? You're in general, when you're playing guitar, what is your stage setup look like?
It all depends on the gig. Eagles of Death Metal is pretty simple. I don't really have much. I bring one pedal board with a few pedals on it, and I plug everything straight into the amp. When I was out with Survivor, same thing, except I would have less pedals, and I would run a delay pedal through the effects loop, and that was it. But the keyboard rig for that, for instance, I'll have a 88 key controller, or I use my Yamaha S90, and then that's my piano sounds, and then on top of that, I'll put another controller, 61 key controller, for instance. Back in the day, it was the Novation Zeo synth, which had a built-in audio interface. So I would plug my MacBook right into the interface, and then also my bottom keyboard as well. And then Mainstage would run both of those keyboards, and I could blend. And I'd actually blend in some of the Yamaha synths as well. And I still do that with the babies, all main stage stuff, but I don't travel with all my stuff. So I bring a top controller, and most of the places they fly us to, I ask for a 88 key, either a motif or something that goes right in, that I don't have to download any drivers or anything for.
Right.
And then that's it. I have the full show set up in main stage, and that's it. And even for the orchestra shows, I still do the orchestra shows. We're about to do one coming up in Long Beach. The one coming up in the Long Beach it's the same company that does the Cirque stuff, but this is all 80s show, and I orchestrated the orchestra parts, but then I programmed all the keyboard sounds. And even some of the songs that don't have keyboards, I'll plug my guitar straight into my Scarlet, and I have a guitar simulator cab stuff situated in main stage, and I play that so that I don't have to fly with amps or anything like that. And so I ask for backline guitars, and I just show up and just have my MacBook and my my Scarlet with me.
Nice. That sounds.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah, it does. It does sound pretty easy.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible, man. Since we're at a music school here, and thank you to Musicians Institute for having us.
Thank you.
What piece of advice do you wish you had when you first started playing, or first started recording, or both? Whichever you'd like to tackle, or if you'd like to tackle both of those.
I think there's a couple ways that I think. Like if you want to start thinking about working and being hired, or to get calls, just learn everything. Learn anything and everything you can. Every style of music, whether you're just into metal or anything like that, learn how to play a folk song with your fingers, or learn how to, and then at the same time, learn how to sing, and then learn every part of those songs. Luckily I grew up in a house that there's only two things on. It was either Beatles or Elvis. And
Nice.
The Elvis stuff was pretty cool. But I just fell in love with the Beatles, and then I would learn every part of the harmonies, and I would sing along to every part of the harmony, or every harmony. And if the more you do that, the more you'll get hired, or you could adapt to any situation you're in. It was weird, just don't stick with one thing, because otherwise you'll get pigeonholed into that one little thing.
That's a really good segue into another question that I had was, and it sounds like the answer to this might be no, or maybe you did, but you overcame it. Did you have any fears when you initially started playing or recording, and
Absolutely.
did you let anything hold you? But it sounds like you didn't let it hold you back.
Well, that's how you learn. I mean, I remember one of the first times I played a piano piece in front of my whole school, and there was I forget what it was for. Anyways, I had to play The Entertainer by Scott Joplin. I was a kid, and I had to I practiced for weeks, and of course I messed up on stage a little bit, and then you start sweating, and then you start playing faster, and then you just want to get it over with. But then I look back and I was like, well, that was fun. It's pretty cool. And then so that's how you learn to overcome your fears, because and I know people that have done that and just quit, and then now they're doctors and they make real money. But for me, it motivated me to become better, and then to actually, especially whenever I started doing my own songs in front of people, that you're always so self or insecure about doing that, and then the more you do it, and then the more people that accept it or say, hey, that was cool, or people say, yeah, that kind of sucked, but the more you do that, the more you open yourself to that, the better you become, I believe.
And it seems like you play a lot of not open mic nights, but you play a lot of jam sessions as well, right?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, and even still, you have some regular gigs that are kind of jam based.
Sure.
And I bet a lot of people going in there to jam with you probably have those fears, but then they get that adrenaline rush. Like, yeah, I think there's some people here in the audience that have jammed with you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's incredible. I know I've been kind of rambling here. I forgot to ask, did you have anything else that you had that you wanted to play? Or did you play the track that you had prepared?
That was pretty cool, wasn't it?
I loved it, yeah. Yeah, I'm like...
I could play something else.
Yeah, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but...
Let's close this session.
You have the guitar, you have a pick, I mean...
Sure, I have a few picks.
Yeah, I know.
Let's do this. There's a band I just worked with, and I produced, and we... oops, that's not it.
See what I did is I just put him on the spot.
No, that's cool.
We should have chatted about this before.
It gives me another reason to pick up another guitar. Here,
oh, nice.
Check this out.
You're playing a PRS here.
This is a PRS, yeah.
Sounded great.
I'm gonna plug in.
Here,
Here it is. This is a guitar that G&L, and they're just now putting it in production. But this is doesn't even have a name on it.
It's the Walter Ino.
This
I just named it for him.
mine's coming. I'm getting mine in gold sparkle because it's going to look great on stage.
Right on.
But
Gold sparkle. Everybody
but
wants
this is their Doheny. One thing I like to do when recording, especially if you have like a rock sound, is get it nice and, this is kind of direct sounding, but anyways, just turn the volume down a little bit, get a little bit more tone out of the pickup. But this is their new humbucker pickup they have in this, but it also has some parallel, and you can get a single coil sound out of it. Kind of. Anyway, this is a song that I wrote this for this other band I just got done producing that's going to be released on the Frontiers label.
And was this recorded in your studio?
Everything was recorded in my studio. The drums were recorded in my friend's studio over there, actually.
Nice. And we got to plug your. Do you want to plug your studio?
My studio is Secret Asian Man Studios.
Oh, it's a secret.
Secret.
I guess I shouldn't have done that, right?
Nah. But
right.
the drums were recorded in Blue Suede Studios. Let's see what the mix is like on this. that.
Yeah, wow.
Now I know why that. I forgot to arm the track. Anyways, so and I forgot the guitar like I played at the end. That was it. That's what it was supposed to be. Sorry.
I missed that, so I didn't know what it was supposed to be, but I'm glad you showed it to us.
It's all good.
Oh, thank you for sharing that with us.
No problem. That's all stuff that's going to be coming out soon, and then I had a hand in writing and playing on, so pretty fun.
It sounds like you're playing with a lot of talented individuals. Like
yourself.
yourself.
I'm lucky. If there's another piece of advice is surround yourself with other talented people, especially people that are cool, because that's the best part about playing music. I mean, I know some of you out here. That's one of the coolest. It's pretty fun just to play with, share music, share the stage with people. Just be cool.
Back to you talked about your brothers, your older brothers, that you scared into not playing music anymore.
I don't want to make it sound like that. They my oldest brother actually was the first person in my house that got into keyboards.
Okay.
He ended up buying the first a Korg Poly 800, which is pretty classic. And then he got into the Roland Juno 1, which is even more more programmable, which got me learning how to that's what taught me what waveforms are and frequencies and how to filter and this and what an envelope filter does, which is pretty cool. If it wasn't for him buying those keyboards, I wouldn't be into keyboards like I am today.
How about your, if you don't mind talking about your parents? Were your parents musicians as well?
They were, professionally let's say they were frustrated musicians.
Okay.
My dad always thought he was Elvis, which we call him, his first name is Will, but we call him Welvis because he always thought he could sing like Elvis. He actually can sing like Elvis. And my mom actually is an amazing piano player. So she actually taught me, before I started taking lessons, she taught me a few things on piano, and that's kind of what opened my ears up to music.
So it sounds like they were pretty supportive.
Very supportive.
Not just, get a real job, but they were supportive of your...
They said that a few times.
Yeah, I know, like my family was not quite like that. But no, that's great that they supported and encouraged your music growing up.
They were always supportive. Luckily, my grandmother was also a piano teacher. So she was an amazing pianist. And then, so they all, luckily, I grew up in a household that was very supportive, and they would come to my shows, and they would scream at the shows. And then I'd go to friends' houses, and my mom, if anybody knows any Filipino parents, they'll push any kid into doing something that they don't want to do in front of all their friends. So they're like, play something or sing something, that they would always do that. So that actually helped me get over stage fright, things like that.
Oh, that sounds great. So does anybody have any questions out there for Walter? I don't want anybody to be shy. I'm the only one talking here.
Anybody think?
There we go. I see some movement.
Feel free to go right up to that microphone.
Can you give me some tips, like how you got so good, or just how long it took you?
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get good, but I think the only way you have to see, recording helps, just like he was saying. If it wasn't for recording, you can't hear yourself back and then hear every mistake that you make. And one of the things that before I moved here, I was very insecure about singing. I'm not singing today, but I had a band where I was the front man of the band, and I can't listen to that music anymore because I didn't feel confident about singing. But I think the more that you force yourself into situations where to push yourself, then you could become better. I'm starting to feel better about my voice, and I'm learning how to sing higher and stronger, and this and that. All stuff that I was never confident in. So, advice about being good, that's really a tough thing to answer because that's also subjective. Because I know for me, I'm never going to be the next Steve Vai or the Eric Johnson, or I'm not. I don't consider myself ever going to be like one of those virtuoso players, because that's not what I do. I'm always into getting a good guitar sound or getting a good keyboard sound, and learning the songs. You know, if you get hired for a band, you do your best to play the songs the way they're supposed to be done, and you don't show off. Otherwise, you can get fired. So that's not my job as a working musician. Is I want to work. So just to be, so to answer that question, be as good as what you're hired for, because otherwise, unless you're doing your own band, and then you could just push yourself as far as you want to go. Practice.
It seems like you're very patient with yourself.
Luckily, yes. Well, not necessarily, because I would just bang. I would bang on a piano and swear at it every time I messed up. But it made I came up with a thing of where if I just mess up, if I'm practicing, then just start over again from the beginning and do it again and keep on doing that. That's patience is definitely something that is good when it comes to playing, especially being in a studio, especially working with other musicians, especially working with people that haven't been doing it as long, because a big part of me wants to say, here, just give me the guitar, I'll play it. But you can't do that when you're recording with somebody, especially if it's their baby. Yeah. So patience, and luckily I started teaching guitar when I was 19 years old, and I had 60 students a week. So they'd range from 5 years old to 60, and it's one of those things that taught me patience.
Oh, I bet that did. Yeah. Wow. At 19, you were teaching 60 people a week.
Well, I think it probably started off with like 3.
On a hard week. That's what it sounds like.
For a while, after a while, went up to about 60 students a week, and it was fun. But
to go back to your answer, it seems like you mentioned that when you're playing the gig, that's not the time to show off. But
there's times too, but it all depends on what gig you have.
It sounds like in the studio, is that where you're more experimental and you show off a little bit more? Or I'm sorry, not in the studio, but more in the writing process? Is that when you give yourself license to experiment and quote unquote show off?
Again, it depends on the situation. Okay. It depends on the the style of stuff you're playing. If there's if you're playing with a band that's open to jamming and opening up, then by all means, show off everything that you learned and do your thing.
Cool. All right, we got about 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Let's get another question up here. Anybody else have another question for Walter?
Anybody?
Anybody? You've got some questions.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
Guitar player.
Yes.
Sure. I play guitar as well.
Nice.
So, in regards to playing guitar and you writing songs, how do you usually approach songwriting? Do you start off with just a guitar riff and then you piece it up together with other riffs?
That's a good
or
question.
Do you have a melody?
Yeah, great question.
I think the way you approach songwriting is that there's no rules. So if I'm going to write, like that last thing you heard was probably just a guitar riff, and then it turned into a song. But I've written songs where I started with lyrics and an idea, and then you get the mood of that, and then it turns into chord changes and melodies. I started writing songs where I just had a melody in my head with no lyrics. But I think for any songwriter, there's no rules to how to write a song, especially if you're collaborating with people. It's like this last project. 3 people would throw in ideas, and then it turns organic into something else, and then the songs form themselves. So what I do, though, what I like to do is use my voice memos on your iPhone or whatever you have, or set up a quick track and stream of conscious stuff. You could lay down ideas, guitar riffs, piano ideas, chord changes, sing a melody. A lot of times I'll find myself driving and I have a melody in my head. I'll just record it and hum it into the phone, and that's what it turns into another song later down the road. So,
do you sort of write as you're recording yourself as well? Sometimes,
but for me personally, I like to get something actually finished before I start recording. I'm more of a for the songs, for my personal songs, I like to think of them as, can this song be sung with just the piano and your voice? Or can this song be sung with just an acoustic guitar and your voice? That way, for me, I know it's done. And then if I decide to make it orchestrated, then I will start demoing, like lay it down as a scratch track, and then I'll try putting drum beats to it and put bass parts and whatever else parts on top of that. So, but then again, I've done that too, where I've written songs just building it as it goes. So again, for me, there hasn't been any rules, especially because I try to be diverse. I mostly get hired by rock bands or whatever, but I've written a few country songs with people. Right now, I'm in the process of writing a big band piece for actually one of the circus performers that I was on tour with, and he wants things timed out, and I'm actually just laying down things as I go, sending him pieces and saying what he likes and what's. So it all depends on what the situation is. I think being adaptable is the best way to write songs.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
I think that's a great place to end it, Walter. It's been a pleasure having you here. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Everybody have a great night. Drive safe. And hopefully it's not raining when we get out of here.
Stay dry. Thanks, guys. Awesome.